Hi, I'm Ray Tatter. Coming up live on LiveWire. It's a LiveWire. It's a live show. We're going to be talking with Captain Wade from the Sacramento Fire Department, and he is going to be talking about fire safety with me and how you can remain safe in your home and when you go on camping, and also, be part of the community and avoid fire. So stay tuned for LiveWire right after this. Fire safety, that's it. With me is Keith Ward, who is Keith Wade.
You call me what you want.
That's right, but call me for dinner. Fire safety is a very important thing, and I think it's important that we always talk about it, and especially at home with kids. People with kids really have to have a fire safety plan. One never knows. So tell me, how are we doing in terms of comparative safety? Sacramento world versus, I don't know, San Diego.
Yeah, I think we do very well. There's always room for improvement. And our fire department, we have a lot of fire activity in Sacramento. I think people would be surprised to know the amount of fire.
You just took a call. There was a fire up in the north area somewhere. Right?
Yeah, there's a fire today. And it's summer season. It's fire season for us. Even though people think fire season, they think big wildland fires. Well, these communities where there's people living experience fires too, and Sacramento is not immune to that. We have a lot of fire activity here in Sacramento. So we get out a lot of safety messages encouraging people to take the proper steps to stay safe. And they're very simple steps, but you have to put some thought to them and have, like you mentioned earlier, have a plan with your family.
Yeah, and so what houses are they? There the main safety issue where people get hurt or killed?
It is. So I know we were speaking earlier, every 24 seconds across our great nation, a fire sparks. And that's wildland fire, vegetation, car fires, and on that, and then structure fires. And unfortunately, over 3,000 people a year lose their lives in fires. And a lot of these fires are started within the homes. And so it's very important that families have a plan, number one. They have to talk about it, think about it. When you move into a home, talk to your children, talk with your loved ones, and practice a route of escape. Have multiple routes of escape. And that way, when the fire occurs, you've already taken those first initial steps to give yourself a chance to save your life. And then have a meeting place outside.
A meeting place.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. So what about if there are multiple kids? Should there be like a buddy system or something like that?
You can do buddy system. The important thing is you don't really want parents are going to do what they're going to do, and in those moments, if you practice it, you're kind of ensuring that you might not have a moment of panic.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority of these fires that are going to potentially cause injury to you are going to occur in the middle of the night, and you're going to be woken up by a smoke detector or some other audible alarm system that's going to alert you to danger. And at that point, each person should activate that plan and move to get out of the house. And the message is get out, stay out, and call 911. We never encourage people to fight the fire themselves, because that can really lead to a fire fatality. And the second thing, like we spoke about having that meeting place, people tend to want to go back inside to gather pictures or other memorabilia or things that are of value to them. And that's when they really suffer that higher percentage chance of losing their life. Once you're out of the home, stay out and go to that meeting place and make sure that everyone's accounted for, and then just make sure 911's on their way. The fire department's going to get there and help you.
Sure. And I think it's important to talk about that in a home. I like that idea of coming up with a plan. There are some people who, like my father, who had a plan and it was on paper. He actually put it in a book, and pointed it out and said, "No, Raymond, you go out this way and do that." And we never had a fire.
Lucky you.
We were lucky. Yeah, we were lucky. But some people down the street had one. So it's an amazing thing. So if people plan, should they, like actors, act it out? You know, let's say.
Absolutely, practice makes perfect. It's a saying for a reason, right?
Yeah.
You're going to practice like we're going to play. So when the moment comes, it's kind of a muscle memory thing. So we recommend every few months, maybe just revisiting it, reviewing it, and making sure everyone's on board with exactly what they're supposed to do. And I was mentioning earlier as well, the close your door when you sleep. And the national saying for it is close before you doze. And I think it's a thing that a lot of people don't think about, that vast majority of Americans sleep with their doors open. And it's really so much more safe to close that door when you sleep, because if there is a fire, you're giving yourself valuable time when the alarms go off and the smell of smoke comes in to put that plan into practice and get out of a window, or quickly cover your face with a towel or with a shirt, something to help filter smoke, and make your move to get out of the home.
Yeah, because smoke is also part of the killing device. You know, it's not just the fire itself.
Yeah, the majority of the fatalities are from smoke inhalation, not actual fire impingement to the body. So,
I see.
So the smoke's the real killer. And you know, when you're woken up in the middle of the night and you're confused, you're not sure what's going on, you can't see, you start not being able to breathe, the panic and anxiety will start to set in. But if you've practiced and have a plan, you're going to give yourself the best shot for self-rescue.
Okay. If you were to list the kinds of events that cause fires in homes, you know, I mean, there's kids playing with matches or lighters or whatever. There's the stove being left on.
Yes. Well, and so the number one factor for a fire in the home is kitchen and cooking. So a lot of the times it's unattended to cooking. We go on these calls all the time. It's 911. You get a call for a report of odor of smoke, and you arrive, and the person had left a pot of beans on the stovetop and then went to go run an errand, and then it caused a fire. A lot of the times in the middle of the night, it's someone had been drinking alcohol. They decide they're hungry. They start to cook something, and then they go to sleep on the sofa while it's cooking. It starts a fire. So unattended cooking is one of the most, I'd say it's probably the highest reason that we have fires in structures. So
I see.
Yeah, cooking is a dangerous activity, and people need to take proper safety steps.
No cooking while you drink.
Well, you can have. I don't want
No
to be
drinking while you cook?
Sacramento Fire Department does not want to be the fun police either.
No,
we
of
want
course
people
not.
to do every activity responsibly.
Responsible. Well, I'm doing it at home. I should be able to burn my house down. No, you're not. Fantastic. So I think it's an important issue to also talk about when you camp and when you go out and use fire in that way.
Yeah.
So tell me about camping and what's the best kind of thing to be safe when you have it, or at a campground that has got fire.
Well, in this beautiful state, everyone likes to go camping. We have so many different great areas that people want to travel to during the vacation months. And having an open flame fire is one of those activities that I think it's Americana. You know, you want to get out there and roast some marshmallows and do stuff. And it's great. Take some safety steps. Again, fun police are here. Have something to extinguish it with. And good old-fashioned bucket of water nearby when you're going to have an open flame. And you don't want to build your fires too big. A lot of times people go, oh, let's keep throwing wood on it. Let's throw some paper and different stuff on there. Have a spark arrestor on your fire. So keep it small, a couple logs, spark arrestor on there so that your spark and embers from your fire aren't casting off into that open air environment and getting picked up by the breeze and potentially sparking a fire away from it. A lot of these big, large wildland fires that we experience can sometimes be attributed to people not tending to their campfire properly. So extinguishing that fire when it's out, never just cover it with dirt and assume that it's out, because that can cause injury to people as they're camping. In fact, I have a niece who suffered burn injuries to her lower legs from a campfire on a beach that they had just covered up the fire pit. They didn't extinguish it with water first. and she unfortunately had traveled through that area and burned herself. So there's a lot of different safety things to think of, but extinguishing agent is the first thing. Ensuring that you're allowed to burn in the area that you're at. Follow those safety guidelines set forth by the Department of Forestry and also CAL FIRE. There's always signs out there in those areas advising if it's safe to burn or not, and if you're in an area that even allows it at all. And then obviously never letting children play with fire or tend to the fire. There should be a responsible adult who is the monitor, if you will, watching the whole activity and making sure that everyone stays safe.
I have a building it's a public building, so I have an insurance man who comes in and points out the things, and then there's also the fire extinguisher guy that comes in out in his truck and goes through the places and says, you really should have one right there backstage, and okay, so I'll take it. That makes 14, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I follow orders pretty well. But at home, what about fire extinguishers and those kinds of things? I mean, you said earlier about getting the heck out,
Yes. Yeah. And we don't recommend fighting fires when they're going, but in the early stage, if you're tending to something, if you're cooking and there starts to get a flame going because of whatever happened, a fire starts, have a fire extinguisher handy in your kitchen. Have one handy in your garage. And have one near where your washer and dryer are.
Washer and dryer.
Yeah, those three locations are three of the areas that have the highest chance of having a fire.
That's right. You mentioned earlier about washers and dryers and checking them for lint.
Yeah, your dryers. Yeah, there gets that lint buildup, not only in the screen. People think, oh, I've cleared the lint off the screen on the inside of the dryer and that you're safe, but that exhaust hose that goes to the outside, that needs to get cleaned once in a while, because the lint will build up in there, and the heat from your dryer can get that lint.
Is there a screen in that as well?
They're all different. It can have a screen, but all you need to do is disconnect that hose from the rear, and you can easily access these videos on YouTube.
You'll see what's happened.
Yeah, you'll see, and you'll be amazed at what's coming off of your clothing. But people can go to YouTube and look at how to do-it-yourself type videos to clean that lint. But it's important to pay attention to it, because it's one of the causes of fires in the home.
Yeah. We have animals now. We inherited some animals, and I spend most of my days cleaning the floor of animal hair. I'm wondering, is this flammable?
You mentioned animals. That should be part of your evacuation plan as well.
Right.
Yeah, if you have pets and your loved ones, make sure that you have a plan to also try to grab them as well if they're sleeping with you in your room, or if you know where they're at. But if you can't get to them safely, get out of the home. Let the firefighters advise them that, hey, I have a dog that's in XYZ area.
Yeah.
And those firefighters are going to do everything they can to try to ensure that your pet gets out safely.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit about firefighters. You've been a firefighter for over a couple of decades.
Yeah, I'm on my 20th year right now.
So, that is it's a laudable thing you do. I mean, you're part of the safety system for our community.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. And, so is there like a big rush for people to be firefighters anymore? Like, we all wanted to be firefighters when I was 10, 11, and 12.
Yeah, I think there is still an attraction for it, and there's definitely a certain type of person that wants to do the job. We're trying to make it more attractive for everyone, to let them know this is a career opportunity for you. If you want to be a firefighter, it's available, and we need people. We are seeing that it's maybe not as attractive as it used to be, because people are kind of less attention span, and they're looking at other avenues and sources of work and other ways to make money. But public safety is not just a job. I call it a vocation. There's a calling for people for service, and we need people. PD needs people too. I'm not going to plug too much for the police, but because we got our own problems in fire. But,
right.
Yeah, we want local, homegrown people to come out here and join the fire department, and so that's going to be one of our big pushes moving
So
forward.
do you have a school for firefighters?
We have the Fire Academy. It's been around for a long time. Our department's been around since, there's a debate, 1850 or 1853.
Wow.
I always get confused on what exactly. But we are the oldest paid professional fire department west of the Mississippi. That's our claim to fame.
It's a good one.
It is. And so we've had a fire academy and a training grounds for a long time. Currently, it's up at McClellan Air Force Base. We have a training facility there. And if you get hired on our department, you're going to go through a rigorous 22-week fire academy, and you don't need to know anything about fighting fire. You need an EMT, not a license, but a certificate, saying that you're trained as an EMT, and that's it. And then we're going to train you and let you know everything you need to know to become a firefighter for the city of Sacramento.
What's a good age of hiring age?
21 is what you need to be for our city. The average hiring age, I think you'd be surprised, is actually 29 for the people that come in. And a lot of that is they try some other things, they get some other life experience, because it does take a little level of maturity usually to do this job. The types of things you're going to experience, the things you're going to see, and really the kind of emergency social work that you're going to provide too lends itself to someone who's a little bit more traveled sometimes and can figure stuff out. Not to say that younger people can't do this, because we have plenty of 21, 22-year-olds that come into this job and have great success. But the firefighting is a difficult job, but it's an attainable job to people, and we want them to know that.
Oh, good. It's a good thing. And I like the fact that we have our own academy and that it's been around for a while, about over 100 years.
Yeah, I have friends that I've gone through the fire academy with that are now drill instructors, and they're out there training the new era of men and women coming up to be firefighters. And it's good to see. It's good to give back the things that were given to you and passed down, and it continues. The fire service is really big on that, on culture and tradition. And handing down, and it keeps it going, and it plays out to the community.
We have some, what we call in the business, B-roll, which is video or still photographs. And I'm not sure it's got an interlocutor or speaker behind it, but if it doesn't, I think you know more about it than I do. So why don't we have a look at this B-roll that we have for the Sacramento Fire Department.
We at the Sacramento Fire Department want to share some safety tips to help you avoid starting a fire while cooking. The first thing that you do is be present. It sounds simple. Just make sure that you are here attending to whatever you're cooking at all times. Make sure when you're cooking, have all the handles turned in. That way someone traveling by won't accidentally knock it and cause a fire. Proper safety attire is important. Using an apron can help avoid injury and spills onto your clothing. Make sure that you wear tighter fit type clothing, nothing loose. Loose clothing can make contact with an open flame and cause a fire. Make sure prior to cooking that you have a clean cooking environment. Built up grease can cause a fire. If you're going to cook with oil, make sure not to overheat it. That can cause a fire. And if a fire does ensue, make sure to turn off your burner, grab an extinguisher. A dry chem is a great option, and use that. Be at a safe distance as you apply it. Never use water on a grease fire. It can cause a splash, cause injury and burns to yourself, and also help to spread a fire. When you're done cooking, make sure you let oil cool before throwing it away. This is no good. It would be too hot and could cause a fire in your trash can. Make sure to let it cool. Thank you for letting us share some safety tips with you. Remember, safety is no accident. Stay well, Sacramento.
I certainly know about turning that handle over, having experienced the a whole hot stuff going down on my my pants.
Burns in the kitchen are avoidable if you're careful, and no one wants to suffer a burn from cooking. They're very painful, and it can take a long time to heal, and
Sure.
depending on the the severity of it. So some of those different things I had mentioned in there, having the handle in. I think a big one is people have a grease fire of some sort, and they go for water. They think water extinguishes fire, and water on grease is never good. It's going to splash, and two things: it can spread that fire and make it bigger than it normally was, and then it can cause severe injury to you. So don't ever throw water on a grease fire. That's why we mentioned having an extinguisher. A dry chemical type of extinguisher is the best kind.
Right. If
it's going to smother that fire.
And where should it be? You know, I mean, like I'd say.
In my home, I have a little spot right underneath the sink. Because I gone to one of those box stores and I bought like a 2-pack, and there's a smaller extinguisher, but it's a perfect amount to give me a chance to extinguish something in the event of a fire. And as I mentioned earlier, I have one right in the garage too, because there's the water heaters out there, and also vehicles.
That also gives me the question of, and I've had a trouble figuring this out. Where do you put a fire
Detector?
detector?
Or a smoke detector?
Smoke detector.
Yeah, so smoke detectors should be placed outside every bedroom we're sleeping, and then usually in a hallway, like a traveling type of an area. And then on every level of the home. So if there's a 2-story home, you got to repeat it on that second floor.
So outside the bedroom, does that mean like
on the ceiling.
On the ceiling,
Yeah.
not on the wall?
You can go on the wall, but the ceiling is where smoke's going to collect as
Right
it
away.
rises.
It's gonna go straight up.
Yeah, and so most detectors, their sensors are that there's a little light beam usually. That's one model of a smoke detector, and that smoke will cut the beam, and it'll activate the detector. And so those smoke detectors should be checked and tested every month. And I know a lot of people just want to change their batteries every 6 months, but they should also check their smoke detectors to make sure
They have
operating
buttons
properly.
on them. Some of them have buttons on them, and you can push the button, it'll go.
Yep. You want to hear that annoying sound?
I don't, but I do actually, because it's telling you that it's working.
Yeah. And so it has little instructions on most smoke detectors. If you remove it, most of them are just a little twist to remove them from their holder. And then you take it down and you'll read the instructions, and they take D batteries. Almost all of them have a D battery, and they last a long time, but they need to be changed. And so we always recommend 6 months. And a good kind of course of action is for daylight savings. It occurs every 6 months. So when that time comes, it should be a good little marker to people to go, oh, time to change those batteries.
I'm writing this down, but not has nothing to do with this conversation.
This advice doesn't come for free. No,
Okay.
No, it's a great thing to do. Change those batteries, test those detectors every month.
Yes.
And most fires that I've gone on where someone unfortunately lost their life, they didn't have an operating smoke detector in the home.
I see.
And so it's so important for people to know that little device that can be so annoying, or that when that battery's starting to go low, that little chirp that it does, it's a nuisance, but losing your life or a loved one is a way worse event to suffer.
Absolutely. So this whole idea of fire safety is something that we all should, if you have property, and even if you don't and you're renting, it's actually not the tenant's place to put up anything like that, but to bring up to the
Building manager or your landlord,
or the manager that really should have up on the ceiling up here. We'd like to have it.
Yeah, and we go on those calls all the time where tenants aren't too sure how to deal with their smoke detectors and stuff, and so we always give them some advice. I've always wished that there would be a little course when people become renters or even homeowners of the little fire safety steps that they can take, and how to maintain the little fire safety devices within their home so that they're aware and keep them functioning properly. So, because when you need them, you need them.
That's true. When you need them, you need them. And it's because I'm going home today. My wife, she's probably watching, going, "Yeah, you don't need to do that. Yeah, I've got it all in hand." Yeah. And the statement about lint in the thing, I thought that was amazing. That's another thing I'm doing when I get home.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull that thing out and then open the tube and see the exhaust tube for the lint.
They're really easy checks that take a very little amount of time, but people just need to remember. Take those, put it in your iPhones or your whatever devices you have. Set a little reminder alert every several months to take these proper safety steps and ensure that you're loved ones and your family are going to be safe in the event of a fire.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned earlier, 3,000 fire deaths a year across the nation, and Sacramento is not immune. Our community suffers several fire fatalities a year, and especially during these summer months when we're having a lot more vegetation fires that can also threaten homes. People need to have these early warning detection devices to keep them safe.
Okay, anything else? What about car fires or odd fires that you have to deal with?
Yeah, we go on a lot of vehicle fires. The main thing with that, those are pretty easy because people, as soon as their vehicles start to overheat and smoke, they will usually try to pull over somewhere and they'll get out of the car because they know that that thing's going to burn and it's going to go fast. And so in the event of any fire, the first thing I always tell everybody, please, please, please call 911. Sacramento is lucky to have a fully staffed, very well-trained and aggressive fire department, and we are strategically placed throughout the city in our 24 firehouses.
Yes.
Yes. We have a lot of firefighters on duty here every day, and they're ready to respond and keep you safe. Car fire, that car is easily replaceable. You are not. And we always tell that to people because I get it, it's an upsetting event. They're starting to lose their belongings. And no one wants to lose that kind of stuff, but there's insurance and there's other ways to deal with it moving forward. But at this moment, let's all stay safe. So early activation of the 911 system is going to make everything better in the quickest amount of time.
Captain Wade, thank you so much for talking to me. And when you get to the firehouse, by the way, tell them that we really thank them for their work.
I will share that. I will share that message.
It.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's great. And please don't hesitate for coming on back and talking about any other issues that you think that we A, missed, or B, I think that also that, the people who are watching, there'll be a whole new group of people in a little while. So, and it's important. And I like the talk when you talk about kids in the house and how to set up a plan to exit and then rehearse it like a bunch of actors, and that's where we're going to meet out there by the garage or past the garage, whatever it is.
Yep.
Those are all good tips, and I think it's wonderful. And also, you could get online. If people want more information about our fire department, like where's my nearest fire department, you have a website, and I think we put it on there.
Yeah, cityofsacramento.org. Go there. You can do safety tips in the search. We have a long laundry list of that.
We put it on the screen.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for coming. We'll see you.
Thank you.
All right. Whoa, that's it. That's all the time we have today. LiveWire, we're here every Wednesday at 5, live at 5. We'll see you next week with a brand new show.